Thanks for watching our webinar on Community Services Card changes and zero fees for under 14s. For further information, please refer to our full release notes available on our website at www.medtechglobal.com or through our Insight customer portal. Medtech32 has been updated to support the new Community Services Card funding initiative. To cater for this, we have made changes which will retrieve the latest Community Services Card information from the Ministry of Health into Medtech32. Following this, we will discuss the changes that have extended the zero fees for under 13-year-olds to under 14-year-olds. It's important to note that a retrieval happens automatically when you put a patient on the pallet. You can only have one successful retrieve for each patient per day. Outside of this, you will need to do a manual retrieve, which I will cover later in this webinar. So when I put this patient on the pallet, it auto-retrieves the information, which demonstrates that they do not hold a Community Services Card, as there is no CSC lettering on the pallet, which would appear here. When I put the next patient on the pallet, it auto-retrieves the information, which demonstrates that they are a Community Services Card, because you can see the CSC lettering on the patient pallet in blue. Now we'll cover two scenarios of dependence. So that's youth aged from 14 to 17 years old. When I put this patient on the pallet, the auto retrieval shows that they're a dependent of a Community Services Card holder because the CSC lettering shows in blue on the pallet here and also has an asterisk at the end. This asterisk represents that they're a dependent. This patient has caregivers, and their caregiver's Community Services Card information is held on this patient's file. So if we open the patient's register here, under the Community Services Card section, here you would see the caregiver's details. Unavailable means that this caregiver does not exist in this database, but you can see that they are a dependent of a caregiver, and those Community Services Card details show there. When I put this patient on the pallet, there is no Community Services Card information that you can see. This means that they're either not a dependent of a Community Services Card holder, or we don't have their caregiver's Community Services Card information on file. This information can be added in that same section of the patient register here. You can click on either Add Caregiver, or you can add a Community Services Card for that person if they have their own. For full information on how to do this and the workflows around this, please refer to our release notes. If in the case of this patient, the lettering shows as red on the patient pallet, this means that the patient's Community Services Card information has not been retrieved yet. This can be due to the patient not having an NHI in the case of this patient, or if there are problems with the connection. If this happens, you'll need to update the patient's NHI and do a manual retrieve by clicking on this icon here in the Community Services Card section of the patient register. Or you can add the details manually. For complete instructions on how to do a manual add of Community Services Card details, please refer to our full release notes. A patient's Community Services Card entitlement is also displayed from the patient search. So if we open the F2 screen, you can see here there's an entitlements column, and this reflects the same status as the patient pallet as far as colour goes. It's also visible in the appointment book. Here you can see the entitlements column. Again, it's reflecting red or black if we've retrieved that information, and with or without the asterisks. An important thing to note is that there have been some changes in the colours from the stat column into the entitlements column. The function of these colours haven't changed. So pink means that pre-enrollment is required, and orange means that enrollment is required. The only change is that this now displays in the entitlements column. In some situations, you may be required to add or change or remove the Community Services Card details that have been retrieved. So in this situation, you need to go into the patient's register and back to that section. You will see there's remove caregiver or add caregiver details here. For full information on workflows around how to do that, please refer to our full release notes. Also, as part of this update, the zero fees for under 13s have been extended to under 14s. So this will automatically occur when the first person logs in on or after the 1st of December. If you want to manually run this, the earliest you can do that is after the close of business on the 30th of November, which is the night before. To manually run this, go to Utilities, Miscellaneous, and activate GMS under 14 changes. Please note, it's very important you do not run this prior to close of business on the 30th of November. Thanks for listening. Please remember to read the full release notes available on our website at www.medtechglobal.com or visit the Insight Customer Portal. Thank you.